The Olympics have officially started, and Canada, other than one game, has been dominating on both the men's and the women's side. It's been a great time to be a Canucks fan for 2 weeks because Team Canada is going to be playing for the next 2 weeks, and then we're going to go back to Canucks hockey, and it's going to be like, did not miss this at all, but we're happy at the moment. I got my new CanucksLand jersey. Canada's doing great. It is a great time. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to This Week in CanucksLand, where I recap all the games from this past week. This week, it's Canadaland because it's all the Olympics. Now, usually I have footage up when I talk about the goals, but the IOC is very strict. My game reviews got taken down immediately. Understandable. There will be no footage going over the goals in this video, which is totally fine, but we're going to hop in. We're going to get through. Now, this does not include the game against France that was played today. Yesterday is the time of record, or time to upload today at the time of recording, because not only is there a lot of goals on this list, my cutoff is always Sunday, so if you're new and you're coming here for the Olympics, then that is why. Also, I got 33 goals to cover. I'm not covering another 12. I'll save that for the next one, where Canada would be in the knockout stage. There'll be like 2 more women's games and 3 more men's games, and we can add that game. I don't know. It's still going to be a long video next time, no matter what, but let's hop right into it. Let's stop dodging the point. Let's get right to it with the women's game, starting off against Czechia. As they would start off with a goal from Kristen O'Neill, as Renetta Fast with a backhand on goal. O'Neill would pick up the rebound, and Canada would jump ahead to a 1-0 lead. They would add another one as Watts' shot would be stopped, but Fillier would make a really nice rebound shot. She's, I think, right-handed. She had to turn and put it in. It was a really nice shot from a sharp angle. Not the only sharp angle goal she would have this week, but she would pick up her first of the week, and then Canada would keep adding as Laura Stacey would get the puck, and she would fire it in on a rush, and Canada would have a 3-0 lead, and they would add more, both from Julia Gosling. As Erin Ambrose would fire a shot on goal, it'd be stopped, but Brianne Jenner would knock it over to Gosling, and she would put it in at the side of the goal, and we would have a 4-0 lead. She would get another one as Thompson would find Jenner down low. She would find Gosling in the slot. She would put it in, and it would be 5-0 Canada, and there would only be one more goal as Kaltenkova would put a shot on goal. Malenko would pick up the rebound, and Canada would hold on to win 5-1 against Czechia, as they would get one Czechia, but Canada, yet again, another dominant performance. They did it against the Swiss. They're doing it again here against Czechia. And we were hoping that we would go into the USA with a little bit of revenge because the rivalry series hasn't gone well as of recent. USA has just been getting younger and they've been getting faster. And Canada has been going with the same old players, hoping that it would work. They're getting up there in age. They're not, keeping up with the younger players like Caroline Harvey, like Abby Murphy, Bilka. I'm not sure if Bilka's young. I know Murphy and Harvey are young, but they did go with a very young team. Team USA did, and we wouldn't get revenge. And honestly, we got to wait to the gold medal game to see. I don't know what's going to go. We're going to get into this USA game, but before we get into it, there was a big factor, and I wouldn't say it is too big of a factor because I feel like the teams have been pretty similar in terms of when they play in the rivalry series. But Marie-Philippe Poulin would go down in the game against Czechia after she got hit hard, and she would be out for 2 games with a concussion. I'm pretty sure she didn't play against Finland either, but that didn't really matter as we would beat Finland pretty bad. We beat Finland, I think 5-0. This USA game, I think it did kind of matter, but yet again, you never know. As Caroline Harvey would open the scoring, as she would just skate in from the blue line and fire it in, and USA would open the scoring against Canada. They would add another one as Abby Murphy would make a sweet spin pass right in front to Bilka. She would put it in, and it would be 2-0 USA. They would just keep adding to it as it would be, I think it was Harvey to Heiss to Murphy. Murphy would throw it in front of the goal, and they would kind of battle, and Sims would push the pad and the puck in. And they would review it for, I think, just the puck crossing the goal line because the refs originally called it no goal. They would review it for puck crossing the goal line, but they wouldn't review it for potential goalie interference. Wouldn't have mattered anyway. USA was dominating. I don't think Canada, even if they got that call back, would have probably still lost. So, yeah. Sims gets the goal, and USA would go up 3-0. They would add yet another one, as it would be Murphy finding Bilko in front. She would one-timer it in, and she would get her second of the game. USA up 4-0, and they would pick up another one as Layla Edwards would get the steal at center ice. She would skate in, and she would rip a really nice shot in. I do got to give USA women's team credit for this game. They absolutely dominated, and their goals were pretty sick, and USA would bring down Canada in the only game this tournament on both the men's and the women's sides where Canada not only lost but got dominated. It was bad. I don't know how it's going to be if these two teams do meet up in the gold medal game, which is the potential that could happen. I don't know. I'm worried as a Canadian fan. I feel like they might lose, but honestly, they could find some fire in them. They could find some, teamwork. They could find a way to beat USA, review some footage. I don't know. They got to find a way. But before we get to the men's tournament, we got one more game for the women's tournament, as they would move into a game against Finland, and it would go way better for Team Canada. They would start off with a goal as O'Neill would skate into the zone. She would send it to the slot area to Gosling. She wouldn't really get a good angle, so she would send it in front to Gardner. Vancouver Golden Knights own Jen Gardner. She would put it in to make it 1-0 for Canada. They would add another one as Villiers would find Watts in front, and Watts would put it in to make it 2-0. They would add one more, as it would go all the way to O'Neill at the point. Her shot would go off of a leg. It wasn't Gosling's leg. It was the Finn leg in front, and it would go past the goaltender to make it 3-0. And then they would add two more, both from Clark, as Turnbull would throw it behind the net. Clark would pick it up, do a wraparound, and she would put it in far side on the wraparound to make it 4-0, and they would add one more as Stacy would take it in front. She would get checked, but Clark would pick up the puck in front and put it in to make it 5-0, and that's what Team Canada would win by. And I did go through that game a little quickly, but this video is going to be long, so we got to get through it as quickly as possible, as we'll be moving into the men's game shortly after I just give my opinion real quick about the women's game and while you're doing my thoughts. I usually do it in a lump sum. Hit the mic. A lump sum at the end of all the games, but since there's so many games, I'm just going to do them quickly. A nice bounce back win, exactly what we needed. We didn't have Marie-Philippe Blais in this game, but we had her back in the next game against Germany. It seems like the girls got it back and going after a big loss. It's nice to see. Usually you get your spirits down, you might get taken advantage of by a team like Finland, who could potentially, walk in and show you, what's up, even if you're a good team like Canada. But luckily they were able to bounce back and get the win. The men's tournament would finally open up as they would start their game against Czechia. And after a first period where it seemed a little discombobulated, seems like the chemistry was still, they're just trying to find that chemistry. Makar would throw it on goal, and the tip general in front, Macklin Celebrini, the 19-year-old, would tip it in for the first goal for the men's tournament at the Olympics. It's nice to see. It was a nice goal, and it kind of got things going. As in the second period, Mitch Marner would sauce one over to Mark Stone, and he would put it in to make it 2-0 for Team Canada. A good momentum swing from that Celebrini goal. It really ignited things for Canada as they would continue to add, with Brad Marchand finding Bo Horvat. He would skate all the way down the ice and he would put it in. I think it was on the, I'm trying to remember what hand he is. I think it was on the backhand and kind of like 5-hole. A nice vintage Bo Horvat skate in and score a goal like in the 2020 playoffs when he was with the Canucks. It made me really miss him when I saw that goal, but it's nice for him to pick up a goal like that. They would add one more on the power play. Well, they would add two more, but they would add another one on the power play as Crosby would send it down low to one side of the net to McDavid. He would throw it to the other side of the net, and Nathan McKinnon would be there, and he would put it in to make it 4-0. Canada would add one more as McDavid would get off the bench. He would get the puck. He would throw it in front. Nick Suzuki would tip it in, and Canada would win 5-0 against Czechia. A good start to the tournament against a team that, although they haven't performed to what I thought my expectations for them would be throughout the whole tournament, I thought this team Czechia would be a little bit better with Pasternak, Natchez, Hronek, right? They got some good players. Dostal in net. They just didn't really perform to my standards, and honestly, they did fall to a really good Team Canada. So for this game, I'm not blaming them, but the other games, a little iffy. The men would move on to play the Swiss. They would play the next game. The women were done for their preliminary, so they moved on to the quarterfinals. Their quarterfinal game were after the next two men's games, as the next game would be against the Swiss. And yet again, I feel like it was a little bit slow at the start. Swiss were playing really good. They're playing with a lot of heart in this game. And eventually it would be broken, though. The seal would be broken and the tiebreak would be broken. And Team Canada would get it. As Makar would send it to McKinnon on the end wall. And then he would throw it all the way across to Connor McDavid. He had a potential opportunity to throw it to Crosby backdoor. It's Connor McDavid, though. He put it in, and Canada would take a 1-0 lead, and they would add one more. As on the stick of McDavid, yet again, he would send it to Thomas Harley, and he would fire it in 5-hole, and Canada would make it 2-0. And they would finally let in their first goal in like over 200 minutes, I think it was, or something like that. They had a really long shutout streak going all the way back. I think it was just when NHLers were in the Olympics, as it would be the former Vancouver Canuck, Pius Suter, as Sven Andrighetto's shot would go off, like, I think it barely went off of Thompson's glove. It went off the crossbar, went down in the slot, and Pius Suter just had a wide open net, and he put it in. Pew, pew, Pius Suter. I get to say that again. That's nice. As he would pick it up for Switzerland. It's nice to see him get a Olympic goal. Yeah. That's all I gotta say. Really nice to see Pius Suter get an Olympic goal, but Canada would answer pretty much like right away, as Canada would answer like pretty much right away, as McDavid would try to throw one in front. It would kind of get blocked. It would go over to the corner. McKinnon would pick it up, and he would find Macklin Celebrini in the slot for a one-timer, and he would fire it in to make it 3-1 Canada. They would add another one, as it would be Crosby who would throw it to the point to Taves. He would go point to Makar. Marner would swoop into the top of the slot. Makar would go to Marner, and all the players, not all the players, but a lot of the pressure would get moved to Marner, and it would leave Crosby wide open in front. He would redirect it in, and the Canada would make it 4-1. And then they would pick up one more, as Macklin Celebrini would take a penalty. He would go right out of the box. He would go right in on the forecheck. He would draw a steal, throw it to McDavid. McDavid would go in, put a backhand on goal. It would bounce all the way past all the Swiss players that were trying to check McDavid to Nathan McKinnon, and he would put it in. Just when you thought you stopped McDavid, there's McKinnon, and he would fire it in to make it 5-1, and that's the score Canada would win by, and they would pick up another massive win. I mean, it was a pretty easy group for Canada. After we beat Czechia and then we beat the Swiss, we're playing France. We all know how that France game went. We'll get into it next week, but yeah, pretty easy group for Canada. They ended up finishing first in the entire group. Like, they just kind of steamrolled through. Not really too much competition. And I'm hoping that the quarterfinals and the semifinals and the gold medal, obviously the gold medal game, has some more competition, more fun, close games, a little more stress. As much as I don't like stressful games, it's always fun to have a nice stressful game, because if your team wins that, the relief is nice and the enjoyment is way better than just dominating through the whole tournament. But we are not done, as we have one more game to talk about, and that is the women's game against Germany. And they would start off the scoring as Emma Malte was skating. She would throw it in front, and Jenner would redirect it in, and Canada would take a 1-0 lead. And then the Vancouver Golden Eyes, Claire Thompson would get the puck at the point. She would fire it, and it would go 5-hole, and Canada would make it 2-0, or that would make it 2-0. Canada would make it same thing. And then they would add one more, as Sarah Fillier would pick the puck up from a sharp angle, pretty much like, here's the goal. Here's the goal. Fillier is like here, and it just fires it in, and it would be 3-0 Canada. They would add one more, as Turnbull would get the puck kind of like the face-off dot on the right side. She would just power her way in, make a nice move, go to the backhand, put it in, and I think it was the backhand. Yeah, backhand, put it in, and it would be 4-0 Canada. Germany would get one, though, as Feldmeyer would get a breakaway. She would kind of mishandle the puck, but it would work out in her favor, as she would kind of drag it over Maschmeyer and put it in over the pad, and it would be 4-1. But the returning Marie-Philippe Boulin would pick up a goal, as Fillier would try to throw one in front to her. I think it got stopped. It would end up going back to Fillier. She would try a shot this time, but it would get blocked. but it would go right to Poulet in front. She would tip it in, and Canada would pick up another 5-1 win. This women's team, other than that game against USA, they have done really good in this tournament, and it is nice to see. There's just really that USA game. It's the only fault they've had in this tournament, and if they're able to get past, I think they play the Swiss in this next game. If they get past them and meet USA in the gold medal game yet again, I don't know if it's going to be the same story. I feel like it might be, but I'm really hoping it won't. Hopefully they're able to pick up a win. As for the men's, they're rolling through. We'll see how they do in the quarters and in the semis. They won 10-2 against France. I will go over that game in full next week. But yeah, without further ado, that is it. I gave my thoughts throughout the game as I went, so let's move into the news. And there's not really that much, because there's no Canucks news to go over, because there's a roster freeze, so the Canucks can't make any moves. And, I mean, Tom Wielander went to Sweden. Abby has been winning some games. They won last night, which was, as of the time of recording, which was nice to see. Hopefully, I'd be at the Abby game by the time this is uploaded. I'm probably at the game right now, the Family Day game. But yeah, no real news. Marchand will draw in for the quarters. He got replaced by Jarvis. He was dealing with an injury before. Morrissey got hurt, but it seems like he's making a good recovery to be able to hopefully play in the Olympics soon. So yeah, that's about it. We'll be moving into our 3 stars of the week, which we're going to mash both. We're not going to do 3 stars for the women and 3 stars for the men. We're going to mash them both. And we're starting off with our 3rd star, Sarah Fillier, who in 4 games played had 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points, and was a +1. Really nice tournament, like a really nice tournament from Sarah Fillier. She's continuing to impress. I feel like Marie-Philippe Pinault would probably be in this spot if she was healthy, but you know what? Fillier's filling that role nicely. And other than the game against the USA, and again, the whole team did not play great. That's her only bad game. She's continuing to impress. She's up to 3 goals, 3 assists for 6 points throughout the whole tournament so far. So that's nice to see. Your 2nd star of the week is Nathan MacKinnon, who in 2 games had the same stats. 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. So it was a +2. It's Nathan MacKinnon. If he's not 1, he's 2 in terms of the best players in the world at this moment. And you know what? If you have MacKinnon at 1, this next guy's at 2. You have MacKinnon at 2. This next guy's at 1. As your 1st star of the week, obviously, is Connor McDavid. In 2 games, he had 1 goal, 5 assists for 6 points. It was a +5. McDavid has popped off, and he continued to do it in France, adding 3 more points. Man, McDavid is just, it's so happy. I'm so happy that I get to cheer for him at some time. I'm a little jealous of Oilers fans because I get to cheer for him all the time. But yet again, I don't want to be an Oilers fan. So I guess that's the good out of it. It's Connor McDavid. Like, absolutely, he's turned to a whole different gear in this tournament. We are playing a bit weaker teams, I feel like, against USA. He would still get points, but he wouldn't get as many points as he did. But yeah, just absolute pure domination from Connor McDavid. The Mac line has been popping off. I know Wilson's been playing with them with McDavid and Macklin Celebrini for a while, but when they switched and put McKinnon in, made that Mac line, it is just so fun to watch. But yeah, let's move into the next week preview, and we'll go over all the games that are going to happen next week. Alright, as for the games that will be in next week's video, the first one is against France. Spoiler alert, you already know, they won 10-2. We're going to go over that game in full detail. I just didn't want to add it into this week because of all the games. We already had 33 goals to cover, and it's already a long video. The next game will be the women's semifinals. So no matter how they do in this game, they will be competing in a second game for a medal. Will it be a guaranteed medal or will it be for bronze? We don't know. Hopefully they're able to pick up the win and probably play Team USA in the gold medal game. As for the men's, they are up next. They play in their quarterfinal games to be determined, but it's most likely going to be Czechia, as I think they face off against Denmark. Upcoming. Let me just get rid of all the nations. Let's see here. If they got that game up and going here. It'd be the qualification. Yeah, they do play Denmark. So it's either those 2 teams, and then after that they'll move into the semifinals where they get reseeded, so we won't know. And then I don't know if they have the to be determined. Yeah, here we go. The quarterfinals and then the semifinals is going to be on Friday, and then Saturday will be the bronze, Sunday will be the gold. I will break my rule next week if Canada makes it to the gold medal game and plays on Sunday. I will cover because it's going to be at 5 a.m. I will cover that game and break my rule. I just didn't want to break it this time for the France game. Yet again, I'm just regurgitating what I've already said. But without further ado, that is it for this one. If you're a Canucks fan and you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I set a goal to try to hit 500 subscribers by the end of this NHL regular season. I'm at 375. Thank you guys so much. We just hit it. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. Leave a like and a comment down below. What did you guys think of both tournaments so far for the men's and the women's? And yeah, without further ado, the video on your right is the video from Friday. The video on your left is the video from Wednesday. Subscribe's right down under there. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.